In this episode of the Design Tours, I travel to Egypt, a cradle of civilization where royalty and a fixation on the afterlife inspired some of humanity's greatest achievements in art, architecture, craft, and written language. As a design tourist, I've come to explore ancient history, artistic accomplishments, and archaeological treasures from the many cultures that conquered and ruled Egypt. The Romans, the Greeks, and the Arabs all left their marks, their beliefs, and their ways of being. I begin my journey in Cairo, a city of 25 million and a country of 100 million. The city's metropolitan area is the largest in the Middle East and the Arab world and the 15th largest in the world. Now, before we get started, here's the lay of the land. Egypt spans from the northeast corner of the African continent to the southwest corner of Asia. In terms of its geopolitical location, Egypt borders Libya to the west, Sudan to the south, and Israel to the northeast. The southern part of the country is known as Upper Egypt because it's on higher ground, while the north is Lower Egypt. The Mediterranean Sea forms the northern coastline, and the Gulf of Suez, the Gulf of Aqaba, and the Red Sea border eastern Egypt. The Nile River divides Egypt into two banks as the lifeblood of this desert country, providing fertile soil and drinking water. All along the Nile, you'll encounter iconic archaeological sites. I'm traveling with Cairo Transport and Touring. The company is based in Cairo with decades of experience organizing and hosting trips to Egypt. As a woman traveling in the Middle East alone, I have peace of mind knowing that I'm joined by English-speaking guides Amir and Mohammed and a security guard. I start with Egypt's emblematic tourist experience, a visit to the Pyramids of Giza, the oldest and only surviving of the 7 ancient world wonders. The pyramid complex resides west of Cairo at the edge of the Sahara Desert and holds 9 pyramids. Like many people, I've seen a lot of photos of the Giza pyramids, but to experience them up close, I'm speechless, and if you know me, that almost never happens. Pharaoh Cheops built the pyramid complex 5,000 years ago. Each pyramid is a fascinating feat of human engineering. The lower part of the pyramids are made of granite from quarries in Aswan that traveled by the Nile more than 550 miles to the site of the Giza pyramids. The top levels of the pyramids are made of limestone. There are 3 large pyramids honoring the kings and 6 honoring the queens. Many scholars believe that Egypt's story begins in 3001 BC with the union of Upper and Lower Egypt by the first pharaoh, Menes. He founded the ancient Egyptian capital in the north, a metropolis called Memphis. 30 Egyptian dynasties followed, ruling until 332 BC when the Greeks arrived. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built for King Khufu, and he towers 481 feet. The Cheops Pyramid has interior burial chambers open to the public. You can go inside for an extra ticket, but there isn't much to see inside this small space with low ceilings. It's hard to stand up because the interior chambers were not built for visitors. And you won't see any hieroglyphics inside the pyramids because Egyptian pictorial writing started in the 5th dynasty. Up close, it's mind-blowing to see the mammoth stone blocks and imagine how humans transported and stacked each block, weighing an average of 2.5 tons in configurations of 2,000 or more to build each pyramid.
Now this is a great vantage point. From here you can see 3 of the pyramids and several of the smaller ones in a panoramic view. So to really appreciate this up close and personal, I'm going to take a camel ride.
A camel ride tops my bucket list. Now, this is the real deal. You climb on the camel from the ground, not an elevated platform. Okay, What you're about to witness, this is a beginner's mistake. If you don't lean back as the camel stands up, you will topple forward. Trust me. This camel ride demands a little physical agility, but once I'm up, it is so surreal. A camel handler holds the reins and walks the camel with you. Now a word to the wise. Watch out for scammers. My tour guide Mohammed helped me negotiate a fair price for my camel ride. There are incidences, though, where the camel handlers will take you behind the pyramids and ask for more cash to take your picture. It's a popular shakedown, and you can avoid it by getting your travel companions to take photos of your camel ride. Overall, the experience is well worth it. All around the pyramids and most of the tourist attractions, you'll encounter pushy vendors selling souvenirs, anything from stone scarabs to scarves. Now, some will approach you and hand you an item saying it's a gift, but don't be fooled. They are expecting payment for said gift. Nothing is for free. Egyptians are very friendly people, but the vendors are there to make money. So don't be shy or embarrassed about returning an unwanted gift they hand you.
So over here is the largest Sphinx you will find in Egypt. This is of King Khafre. And like all of the Sphinx throughout Egypt, you'll notice that it has the head of the pharaoh or king and the body of the lion.
It's called the Great Sphinx of Giza, and it's the most famous and oldest of Egypt's sphinxes. It was carved out of limestone during the 4th dynasty around 2620 BC and stands 66 feet tall.
So we're next to the Sphinx here in the Temple of the Valley, which used to basically overlook the Nile. Now this is where the mummification process began. When royals and kings and queens were buried, their bodies first came here and they spent 40 days being mummified before they were transferred on to a neighboring temple for another 30 days. So a 70-day mummification process.
My fascination with Egypt lies in its intimate and comfortable relationship with the afterlife. Ancient Egyptians believed that after death, the soul would return to the body and live on in the afterlife. That's why they mummified dead bodies, removing all the organs except for the heart and storing them in alabaster jars. This mummification practice began around 2600 BC during the 4th and 5th dynasties and continued for more than 2,000 years into the Roman period around 30 BC. So much of Egyptian art, architecture, and customs express this reverence for the afterlife, which leads me to the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. The museum opened in 2021 and holds one of the most significant collections of Egyptian mummies. The Royal Mummies Hall displays mummies from the Valley of Kings, which we'll visit in another episode. Now here, you can find 20 royal mummies, 18 kings, and 2 queens. The museum also showcases more than 1,500 art objects and artifacts from the prehistoric era up to modern-day Egypt. While visiting the National Civilization Museum, I met an artisan outside the gift shop crafting statues with inlaid copper and silver wires that he hammers by hand into each piece. He says some of the pieces can take him up to a month to finish. He also crafts these intricately engraved copper plates, and he's one of many modern-day masters of ancient Egyptian craft techniques.
If you look at the culture and the monuments, you will see that Egyptians were always very much into art since day one. Maybe one of the very first, I'm not sure if they were the first, but one of the very first populations in having interests in paintings and having interest in showing their lives, painting and putting them in pictures on their temples and their tombs and everywhere. Egyptians were always keen to make things look different and nicer, and to use the materials from the nature around them to create new things and to express how they lived and even their thoughts of life after this. That you find in a lot of places in Egypt, like Fayoum, which is nearly 90 kilometers to the southwest of Cairo, like Harraniya. There are a lot of areas where you find local people. They are specialized in doing art and craft things using the natural materials, especially using the mud, doing articles like glasses or sorry, يعني like pots and containers, and using the leaves of palm trees to do baskets and small boxes and even chairs.
Before I explore Egypt's archaeological sites, I want to get grounded in the country's history and its many cultures, so I head over to the Egyptian Museum in Old Cairo on the other end of the city.
Traffic in Cairo, one way. Insane.
The Egyptian Museum resides about a 45-minute drive from the Giza Pyramids. The neoclassical structure opened in 1902 to protect, preserve, and prevent the export of Egyptian antiquities. One of my highlights was the King Tut collection of jewelry and precious objects, including the young king's iconic golden pharaoh mask, unearthed in his tomb in the Valley of Kings. In 2022, when I traveled, Egypt was celebrating the 100th anniversary of the discovery of the King Tut tomb in 1922 by archaeologist Howard Carter. Construction is underway on a new, larger museum just a few miles from the Giza Pyramids, and that one will hold King Tut's entire treasure collection, some 5,000 objects. Up next, I explored the Islamic side of Cairo, the mosques and the Muslim artistry of the city. In addition to the ancient Egyptians, Cairo has another intriguing cultural influence to explore: its Islamic roots in Old Cairo. Muslims first arrived to Egypt in 640 BC. Today, Egypt's population is 85% Muslim, a demographic that defines the country's cultural identity and way of life. Cairo is known as the city of 1,000 mosque towers, known as minarets. Before loudspeakers and technology, mosque minarets were used to announce call to prayer. The majority of Egypt's Muslim population practices the religion of Islam. Many Muslims worldwide come to Cairo to attend Al-Azhar University, considered the world's preeminent institution of Islamic learning. Islamic art offers a window into the religion's cultural, spiritual, and aesthetic values, so I set out to tour the city's most iconic mosque at the Citadel of Saladin, a medieval Islamic-era defense fortress built high on a hill overlooking Cairo with panoramic views. The Mosque of Muhammad Ali resides within the fortress walls. It's known as the Alabaster Mosque for its marble paneling on its interior and exterior walls. The Turkish-style mosque with its twin minarets are the highest in Egypt. The walls and the ceiling showcase geometric designs and ornamentation devoid of white space, which is characteristic of Islamic art. Inside the mosque, a central dome drinks in light, illuminating the prayer floor below, where we gather around our tour guide Amir to talk about his religion, Islam. I visited Egypt in early April during the Islamic religious observance of Ramadan. It's a time of fasting from sunup to sundown.
We need to feel the same feeling of poor people, just to appreciate what we have. We are fine. We have enough food, enough drink, even we have enough money. We're traveling around. We need to feel the same feeling of these people, at least for a short time, to appreciate what we have and to thank our God for what He gave you. You have to be very spiritual, to not think of any bad things. Okay? So you have to be very spiritual. This is like controlling. This is different between human being and animals. And this month actually is very nice. You don't find a hungry person here. Everybody helping each other. Rich people and restaurants, they come to the street, put their tables full of food and drinks, Any time is passing by and the time to break the fast, just sit and eat. Don't take permission. Everybody give food to each other.
Ramadan is the 9th month of the Muslim lunar year. It's a time of fasting, blessings, and prayers, and it commemorates the revelation of the first verses of the Quran to Prophet Muhammad by the Holy Spirit Gabriel. Now, during Ramadan, many establishments will keep irregular hours or close altogether, so keep that in mind when planning a visit to Egypt. Each morning, I wake up to the Muslim call to prayer.
We pray 5 times a day. Early morning, now it is about 4:05. Noon time about 12. Afternoon about 3:30. Sunset now about 6:15. And evening prayer about 7:30. The best is to pray on time in a group in a mosque. So once you hear the call of the prayer, you wash. You wash hand 3 times, mouth 3 times, nose 3 times, feet 3 times, arms to the elbow, part of the hair, ears, and feet. Then you go to the mosque and pray with everybody. This is the best thing. But if you can't for any reason, you can pray anytime before the next prayer. If you are a surgeon in operation, I'm not gonna leave the heart open, excuse me, I'm going to pray. So you finish what you're doing and you can pray what you missed later on. If you cannot pray before the next prayer, you can pray at the end of the day what you missed during the day. We do read part of the Quran, which is called Al-Fatiha, the opening of the Quran. This you have to read it. And you can choose any small part of the Quran you memorize to recite during the prayer. But if you can pray anywhere. Prayer doesn't take a long time, only 4 or 5 minutes. Wherever you are, you can just wash and then go to pray. Many Muslims, they have small carpets with them, they take with them to work. So as a prayer time, you go to toilet, wash, put the carpet facing Mecca, you pray.
I appreciated Amir's candid conversation with us Western tourists about his faith. It's moments like these when we can better understand each other and find common ground that reminds me why I travel. When you understand more, you fear less about people and places different from your world.
We believe our God, Allah, is the same God for Christians and the same God for Jews. But we don't believe in Buddha or other religion, but Christianity and Judaism coming from the same God. We believe that every prophet came with certain message to certain people. So Jesus came with a message to his people, Moses the same, Muhammad the same, and we believe that Muhammad is the last messenger, the last prophet of Allah, but we still believe in all the other prophets. A religion is something between God and you. None of my business, none of your business. You are good to me, I'm good to you, that's it. We're all human beings. I don't care who you are believing, as long as you are good to me, I'm good to you.
Outside the mosque, a large brass clock tower keeps time. It was a gift from the King of France to Muhammad Ali Pasha, who had gifted France one of 2 obelisks at the entrance of the Amun Temple of Luxor. That obelisk now stands in the Place de la Concorde in Paris, at the famous traffic circle at the bottom of the Champs-Élysées. Christianity and Judaism also influenced Egypt's culture, coexisting in a religious complex within the walls of the Roman fortress of Babylon. Now, within the fortress, built in the 6th century BC, are some of the oldest and most important churches in Egypt, including the Hanging Church.
Probably this place originally was a Roman temple, then became a Roman church, then a Coptic church. This church is 23 meters by 18 meters. It's different style from European church. The ceiling doesn't have domes. This is what we call basilican style.
The Hanging Church gets its name because it's built over the Roman fort. Now, under the church's foundation, you can see the fort's remains, hence its name, the Hanging Church. Inside, intricately carved Coptic Christian art and religious icons adorn the walls and the ceilings. The Church of St. Sergius in Bacchus is a few steps away from the entrance of the fort down a narrow pedestrian lane. St. Sergius was built in the 4th century on top of a cave where it's widely believed that the Holy Family hid from King Herod's persecution while they were passing through Egypt. Now, the church holds special religious status among Coptic Christians as a refuge of the Holy Family. From the chapel, I head downstairs into a cave under the sanctuary to see the Holy Family's purported hiding place. I end my time in Cairo with a shopping trip to Khan el-Khalili Bazaar, a 14th century market located in the Islamic district of Cairo.
So here's how the market works. You're not going to find price tags on anything because the custom here is to start the negotiations, and you know how this works. They're going to start high and they're going to negotiate. You can get a price that feels like a bargain. So let's see how my bargaining skills are. Market Khalili. If you are looking for souvenirs, this is a great place to shop. However, if you are looking for handcrafted things made by artisans in front of your own eyes, probably not the place for you. Great for souvenir shopping, though I will say there are a lot of booths selling similar merchandise. And one more thing, be prepared to haggle. You're going to need to bargain for prices if you really want to end up with something that's reasonably priced. So it's going to take some energy. It's a lot of fun. This is like shopping as a sport here.
If you're shopping for local specialties, alabaster, papyrus, and perfumes are cultural treasures you can take home that embody Egypt. Also during Ramadan, shops are filled with colorful, ornate lanterns for sale, known as fanus, that Egyptians use to decorate their homes and their public spaces in celebration of the holy month. While in Cairo, I visited the Papyrus Museum and Shop, where I received as a gift from my tour company a papyrus page painted with my name in hieroglyphics. Today, it hangs in my office and it makes me smile when I think of Egypt. As I reflect on my time in Cairo, I will say that it's relatively safe. However, the country stands on guard for potential unrest. And as a traveler, I encountered a strong police presence with bomb-sniffing dogs, frequent car and trunk inspections, and metal detectors at many establishments. I found Egypt's security measures both reassuring and unnerving. The city itself is bustling, chaotic, and colorful, and I loved the energy and the warm hospitality of locals. In my next episode, I explore Egypt's iconic archaeological sites along the Nile on a 4-day cruise filled with fascinating stories, the gods, glories, conquests, and civilizations that shaped modern-day Egypt. I say goodbye to Cairo, from its ancient civilizations to its modern-day cultures. Until the Design Tours travels again, stay curious and stay inspired.